John, I have a question.
Yeah.
What does it take for a designer to have a good design portfolio?
Oh man, this is one I get all the time, like every week actually. And I'd be glad to talk about this. I've reviewed thousands of portfolios, I'm certain, in my career, and it's an important thing to know when
it's crazy how much we take a look at people's portfolios.
Yeah.
I looked at like 3 today.
Yeah.
Let's talk about
it's
it.
a big thing.
Yeah,
All
give
right.
me some. I want to hear some tips. I want to know like some stuff that you expect to see.
All right. So the biggest bit of advice that I have for people, sometimes people drastically overthink their portfolios.
Too much.
Yeah, mine included in past times of my career. You know, I'm past this point now, but there are times where my portfolio is a full scale design project. You know, it's like I'm just trying to think of the coolest, most creative thing to get attention. Of course, especially because I came out of the Flash era, you know, where people were just doing crazy things, you know, and I was always trying to keep up, like, and come up with some new, you know, cool creative concept. Comedy with Sami. I've had all kind of weird things, so like airplanes flying from country to country, you know, and animations. Brett Victor's Worry Dream, you know, sent me into like a fizzle of trying to beat that one out at one point. I just always wanted the most, like, you know, flashiest, craziest portfolios, but that's actually a huge mistake. Because you want your portfolio to be a very minimalistic showcase of your work. Right. Like, you know, while your portfolio could be a showcase of what you can do, you know, for these days, if you're trying to get like a functional job at a company, you want to show, you know, that you can do real work, you know, and so I recommend people to actually make their portfolio like as minimalistic and neutral as humanly possible. Just make sure it is focused on the actual content itself. Okay. And so you want to like, you know, show your best projects. You know, I get this question of how many, so many times.
Yeah. Show your best.
Yeah. Show your best. Show your best stuff.
Don't show me 10 things and 8 of them suck.
Yeah, exactly.
Show me your best.
Exactly. Yeah, it really depends on quality. I have become a lot more flexible to like, you know, portfolios these days that have a lot of projects on it, as long as those projects are good and it's organized in a way that's actually really good for scrolling lots of projects. You know, it's good to like, you know, it'll be cool to, you know, scroll back and forth and see like a, a magazine of different things that are actually really good. But if you don't have a lot of really good projects, like I do mean like top of the line, like you can like, you know, Apple, you know, or Google, you know, Facebook quality, you know, caliber designs sitting there, then just don't show that stuff. Like, just, you know, make sure you have at least like, you know, I'd say 4. Yeah. You know,
4 is good.
Yeah, good projects.
Yeah. And create something that like you wanted to create, like work on something.
That's
if you can show that.
A lot of people, always are concerned about the limits of what they were able to work on. Let's say they are, you know, this is their first job and they haven't been able to work at a real company. Yeah. Or they, you know, have like, you know, they've worked for 1 or 2 companies and they haven't done anything they're particularly proud of, or it's like it seems boring or whatnot.
Or you just can't. Or you just
still
can't
show that stuff because it isn't. If you can show it, but which is a different topic altogether. Like if something's under like,
don't go to jail before you get this
job.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, one other thing that's pretty off-putting too is a lot of people will like actually put up portfolio sites with like passwords to them. And like, you know, anytime you see that, you think, you know, it's the trouble around them. Because you know it's going to be, you know, something that's like, you know, not supposed to be shown.
Password, and I know some companies, this is not good.
Yeah, and some companies are recruiters in particular. It can be leery of that because they feel like, oh man, I hope he doesn't do this to me. You know, he or she doesn't do this to me when they are in our company. But, you know, in those situations, just work on something that you're interested in and do a concept. People to this day still love seeing great concepts. And by that, I mean, you know, pick something that people know about. One, you know, usually unless you're like, you know, trying to find some, you know, niche job doing something random. I've done that before with AR before like AR was even big, but no less.
Like the Apple Music concept that just got released a couple months ago by some kid who got rejected from an internship.
Oh, interesting.
It kind of went viral in the design community. It was super dope. It was super cool. Might not be the best solution ever, but it's a great concept.
Exactly. And those are the people that like get a lot of attention from recruiters. You want to see that they can actually build something that's real, you know, and whatnot, and make it realistic, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, if you're like doing a concept for like, and if you're an industrial designer doing a concept for like an iPhone, don't like build stuff that literally can't be, you know, be done. You know,
I tell people all the time, there's plenty of problems to solve in this world. Yeah. Pick one that you're passionate about, or maybe one that you're interested in, or something that affects your family or friends. Yeah. Go and do it.
And so, you know, concepts are a blessing. You know, just you know, find something that you don't think is a great experience and improve it. Yeah. Put up as a concept. There, even when I see like people's portfolios where they have like, you know, good, like, you know, experience, like Foursquare, whatever, Yahoo, you know, and they have a few concepts in there, I tend to always gravitate around the concepts because that's when you like, you know, you don't have any restraints. You don't have a PM saying, we can't do this, MVP. You can design it as you think is the best experience without anything in your way. Another thing that is really important is your contact ability. Something that, oddly enough, people miss out on a lot of times, because you never know how people are coming to the portfolio. Usually by the time I get to it, we have all this information. A recruiter sent me, a bunch of like links and whatnot. And but like for recruiters in particular, like if recruiters are scanning and they have various methods for doing it, luckily most of us on LinkedIn now, so it's a lot easier for them.
Don't send me to your Instagram where there's pictures I shouldn't be seeing. That's not a good way to contact you.
Yeah, unless you're trying to show personality and you have like, some social accounts that you think aren't like, working against you.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
the first one is show your best work. Another good tip is like an easy way to get in contact.
Yeah. And show when you're ordering it, show your best work above the fold. People ask me this all the time, like, how should I order this? If your best project, for whatever weird reason, was something you did 3 years ago,
put it number one.
Yeah, you don't have to go in like, chronological order. Show your best thing at the very top,
Yeah.
I had a few things that even some of my YouTube TV work that like, if I was to like do a portfolio right now, that I would probably tend to want to put at the very top for a bunch of reasons. Although it wasn't the most recent thing that I did, do what catches the eye closer to the top of the fold as much as possible.
Right. Yeah.
That's another big one.
So that's another big one.
Yeah.
So I'll add one. For me, once you figure all that stuff out, for me, the number one thing is I really want to know some things that you had troubles in. So like anytime that we're designing something, it's never perfect. You never have the right idea in the first round or whatever it may be. Tell me about some challenges that you had and how you overcame those challenges.
How do you like this in like a written form, like a more of a blog type of thing when you click into the project?
So a good example would be like, let's say you're showcasing a project that you worked on. Let's say it's a calendar, right? In calendar, there's lots of stuff that you have to do. You have to create events, etc. Right? Yeah. Let's say that you came across a challenge that you couldn't figure out how to create an event when you were like in a week view, whatever it may be. How did you overcome that challenge? Yeah. What did you do? Did you go research? Did you talk to people? Did you do some testing with users? Like, what did you do? And show me how you overcame that. And just kind of add that into your use cases.
Yeah, Dennis is a big story guy, and I love him for it. Like, sometimes, even when presenting things, like some companies will have you like interview with a presentation.
Right.
Like build it into a story. Make a story involving it because it's easier to follow that way. And especially if you organize your project and on your portfolio that way.
Absolutely.
I have had plenty of like case studies that I see on portfolios that are just so hard to follow that like you just get like bored to death like reading it, like trying to figure out like where are you going with this, and it's like just like a really amalgamation of like complete chaos, and and it actually is pretty off-putting because it's like, okay, this guy doesn't really organize information very well. And I realize that sometimes you don't have a whole lot of time for portfolios, and it can be a chore. They can be trust me, like I hate doing the detailed pages of projects.
It's tough
because you got to put yourself in the mindset that you
some
were.
People love it. I love it. I love it.
I hate it. I hate it because like I don't do a lot of like journaling and documenting as I'm working on stuff because I'm going a mile a minute, and so sometimes it's hard to remember every stage of where your mind was when you're doing something, So, but if you can build into a story, it's easier to discern, and it's easier for you to write when you do it that way as opposed to like other things. So like I kind of like will tell the story of my, how my process, if you will, of, how I typically design, in order of like, okay, here, I identified these as the problems and, and then I, did this and that, and just tell a story.
Yeah. In my case studies, I take it as far as back as like, hey, one day, a PM came up to me and say, hey, mister, I want to work on something with you. Like that's where the story began. Right. So,
exactly.
In these case studies, definitely tell me about some challenges that you had. Because I'm pretty sure you had one or two challenges that you had to overcome.
Yeah.
How did you overcome that?
Yeah.
That tells a lot about your work ethic and like your willingness to learn, which is a big thing for me. But those are some of the things that will make you stand out from everybody else, right? Because everyone has like cool, fancy visual stuff and layouts and everything. But in your case studies, like you'll definitely like shine and stand out above.
And but be concise as well. Like lots of words don't equate for like the complexity doesn't equate for like good.
Right.
Make sure it's easy to follow. Like just think like the Apple. Any product page on the Apple website or something that you could easily scan and figure out what's going on without having to like read like an essay, and just flat out text about something, just make it easy and lively.
Yeah, that's that balance. You have to find a balance in like saying enough, but like not saying too much. So we have the first thing was like show your best work. The second thing was
make it minimal design, like make the portfolio centered around like, the projects and not the portfolio.
Right. And then also like an easy way to get in contact, right? And then one of them for me is talk about your challenges, talk about some things and how you overcame those challenges and problems that you faced. And then the fourth one, which is the biggest one for me that like no one seems to ever get right. What the were you trying to solve? Like, what was the problem that you were trying to solve? Please.
And I have a feeling that most people don't get this right because they don't even know half the time. That's the big thing from, I love, that our industry is trending toward calling us product designers. Some people are product designers, but the big thing about that is like being involved, knowing why you're doing something. Don't just like, because oftentimes PMs or other stakeholders might not have a clear vision of why and the goals, for why you're doing things. But you as a designer need to know them and you need to communicate them. For everything that you present, always communicate like the top 1 to 3 goals for what you're doing, because that helps the people who are who are looking at at your interface to follow along of why these decisions are being made, as opposed to just this random abstract interface thrown here, and it helps focus you as you're actually designing things.
It's not only going to just help you, but it'll help everybody on your team. So unfortunately, that's all the time we have for today's episode.
Oh man, I have so many other things. We might have to come back to this.
And that's all for today's episode. So if you're looking for more, help on your portfolio, if you want to reach out to John and I, please visit AngeloCamachoGroup.com. Thanks for listening. Cheers.